Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Jay.
All right, Jim. So let's talk about some of the things going on in the NFL. Boy, a lot of moves, a lot of changes. They've made a change to the kickoff rule. So it looks like kickers will continue to kick from the 35-yard line, but the other 10 players in the kickoff team will line up at the receiving team's 40-yard line. At least 9 members of the return team will line up in a setup zone between the 35 and 30-yard lines. Up to 2 returners can line up in a landing zone between the goal line and the 20-yard line. What do you think about this particular change?
I really like it because they were heading toward eliminating the kickoff. A huge percentage of kickoffs are going either into the end zone and not being returned or going out of the end zone. You could fair catch a kickoff. I mean, basically, the kickoff was being eliminated as all but a ceremonial moment. This means they are trying to return the kickoff return to the game while still reducing injuries. Because, let's face it, most of the injuries were occurring. These people were running absolutely full speed into the teeth of a bunch of blockers. And a kick returner is having to go against those guys who are moving that fast. It just increased the velocity of the collisions. Now what they're doing is they are making it strategically advantageous to make the kickoff returnable. They're making it strategically advantageous for the returner to want to return the kickoff. They're penalizing you if you kick it through the end zone or don't put it in a position where it can be returned. And you have the blockers and the defenders in a position where they're not sprinting into each other. It's more like a line of scrimmage play. So I really like it. Another twist on the rule is you no longer I think you can only onside kick in the fourth quarter, and you have to declare you're going to onside kick, and then you can line up in the old style, although you can now put 6 people on one side of the ball and 4 on the other side of the kicker. But the only negative for all these rule changes is you won't have the Sean Payton Super Bowl, onside kick at an unpredictable time. That's about the only good thing that's being eliminated here.
There's the NFL's making a bunch of changes here, and they also decided they're going to play 2 games on Christmas Day, which is a Wednesday this year. Your thoughts on that?
I guess I'm for it. I like watching football on Christmas Day. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it. So I guess I'm for it because it's a day where people are sitting around looking for something to do. At least I usually am. So I like it. And you know what? I mean, it might mean that I have to cover a game on Christmas Day, but I've worked a lot of holidays before. It doesn't really offend me.
Yeah, we of course don't know who's going to be playing yet. That's not been announced. So the NFL has moved back the trade deadline until after Week 9.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Teams have more clarity. Maybe more teams are eliminated and are willing to trade away a good player. Maybe the teams that are in it are even more motivated to give something up. So I think the later in the season, the better.
I guess it's not maybe a surprise that kick returner Cordero Patterson, former Viking, has agreed to a contract with the Steelers. He's returned a lot of kicks in his career.
He has, and he's great at it. And I really love I just think the Steelers have been on point all off season. They get Russell Wilson for almost nothing. They get Justin Fields for almost nothing. Now the day that the new kickoff return goes into it becomes official, they go out and get one of the best kick returners of the last 20 years. I just think, I don't know if that's all going to add up for them winning in that division. It's such a tough division, but I love what they've done. This is another very logical move.
Jim, do you think that Caleb Williams, who is the expected first-round pick by the Bears, where does he compare with other first overall picks? Do you think he's close to a sure thing?
I don't know. Listen, I'm like, I'm going to sit here and I'll give you my opinion, and we have to understand that I'm wrong on quarterbacks. General managers are wrong. Scouting directors are wrong. Coaches are wrong. I mean, nobody really knows because nobody really knows for a very simple fact. You can't predict the future. Even if you analyze everything they've done properly, you still don't know how they're going to react to stardom, to being a pro, to being a teammate, to the grind of the season, to all the studying they have to do. So disclaimer, I have no better idea than anybody else. I think he's incredibly talented. He's been incredibly productive. The red flags for me are he had some games where he just threw the ball up for grabs, and he seems to care as much about being a celebrity as about being a player. And I really like most NFL quarterbacks are grinders. They care so much more about the process than the results. So I think he's a really talented guy. He's probably going to be a good NFL quarterback, but that's the red flag for me. Jaden Daniels, to me, has kind of all the good stuff Caleb Williams has and maybe fewer red flags. But, I also I'm not as high on Drake May as a lot of draft analysts. I just didn't think he was always that accurate. And J.J. McCarthy is a really polished player who didn't throw the ball that much in college. So they're all great prospects. And reality is probably two of them are going to be really good. Probably one of them's going to be pretty good. One of them's going to be a bust. We just don't know which one.
It's interesting how people's evaluations and thoughts on quarterbacks change even, in time periods where we really haven't seen any, they haven't played in games. I mean, since we've discussed this, months ago. Michael Penix is a guy that you really liked. I know when we talked about him in the national championship game, you liked how he carried himself. Seems like he's still kind of, maybe he's a late first round pick. Maybe he goes in the second round. Do you still like him? And do you think that he could be a good NFL quarterback?
I still like him. I like the quick release, the accuracy downfield, the willingness to push the ball downfield. He played until the championship game. He played really well in his biggest games. But hey, the championship game is part of the evaluation. He got beat up. He did not play well. He didn't seem to handle the pass rush pressure very well. And again, how much do you read into one game? How much do you read into how a quarterback played when he was getting hit as he was throwing and he got his ribs injured? I don't know. I still like him. I can't disagree with the consensus that there are better quarterback prospects, safer quarterback prospects in this draft. But I just wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in the right place. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in the right place that he isn't a good quarterback, if I'm saying that correctly.
Jim, the Gopher women's basketball team played against Pacific last night. They won the game 77-62. Interesting, I don't know how interesting a fact this is, but when I was flying back from Vegas, I stopped in Denver, and then the Pacific team was actually on the same flight that I was on to MSP on Monday. I guess I realized that because they were a bunch of tall women riding in commercial flights. I'm like, this has got to be uncomfortable for you. They're taller than me, and I'm 6'1". So the Gophers win the game 77-62. I don't know if the flight had anything to do with Pacific struggles, but Sophie Hart had 14 points. Mara Braun had 12. Boy, it's nice to have those two back playing.
Yes, this team collapsed without them, and they played pretty well last night. Mara makes they both make a big difference, but especially Mara. She just does everything well in the court, and they just didn't do anything very well when she was gone. Maybe playing without her for a while this season helped them. Maybe it just helped evaluation of what they need this off season, but they really need Mara Braun to be healthy. Just, to state the obvious.
They'll play North Dakota State on Friday as they continue playing the WNIT. North Dakota State's had a long tradition of good women's basketball teams.
And really, overall, North Dakota State has just been a great athletic powerhouse. North Dakota's had its moments, the school of Jimmy Kleinsasser, but North Dakota State is just, whatever the formula is for succeeding in sports, they seem to have found it.
Jim, the Minnesota Wild have signed St. Cloud State's Jack Part, a defenseman, to a 3-year entry-level contract. They took him in the second round in 2021. Is this an opportunity with I think it's 11 games remaining the Wild have, to play some of these younger guys, see how they are?
I mean, they're still mathematically in the hunt. They also have had a lot of defensive injuries. So I don't know exactly when he's going to get his shot. Maybe he gets his shot because of injuries. Maybe he gets his shot if they're out of it and they want to play some younger guys. But it's, a good thing for him, though. A great thing for him, and maybe he gets a chance to play in the NHL this season.
The Twins played their final spring training game. They beat the Braves 9-6. Matt Wallner, a 2-run home run. Louis Varlin allowed 6 earned runs in 5 innings. Your thoughts on both Varlin and Wallner, the two guys that were here for the Twins caravan?
Wallner, I really thought he had a chance to be good last spring, talking to some Twins people about him, watching him perform. Big, strong guy, very driven, wants to hit home runs, better defensively than I think people gave him credit for. Excellent arm. I just think he's got a chance to be really good. And even if he doesn't fulfill what might be his high-end potential, he's still going to hit 25 home runs just because he has that swing. But he might be a 30-plus home run guy. He might be a middle-of-the-order guy. I like pretty much everything about him. Varland, I said it before this all happened, and unfortunately has not changed my mind. When I see him on the mound as a reliever, he is absolutely dominant. And when I see him on the mound as a starter, he is very mediocre. He's had 2 starts since he was told he was in the rotation, and he's gotten shelled both times. I think it's a terrible sign for this team.
All right, Jim, what do you got in your podcast?
Let's see. We have the John Krasinski show up on the Timberwolves, and we have the Viking Update show talking about the Vikings defense, where they stand right now, and a bunch of other issues, including quarterback, and everything's at talknorth.com. And we also have the Chin Music show with Roy Smalley and Lavelle Neal up at either talknorth.com or your favorite podcast app.
All right, Jim, thank you. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Jay.
It's Jim Souhan, Star Tribune sports columnist, joining us every weekday morning at this time. Follow him on Twitter at Souhan Check out his latest column in the Star Tribune's podcast at talknorth.com. Jim, once again today, brought to you by the Green Mill in downtown St. Cloud. Dream Getaway 76 code word. First one of the day is bees. That's B-E-E-S, bees. Type that in. You can win a vacation of a lifetime. First code word of the day is bees. B-E-E-S. Dream Getaways on WJON are brought to you by Burst Travel, Red's Transfer and Storage Moving Company, SB Restoration and Scotty's Exteriors, Total Control Tree Service, Opats Metals and Roll-Offs, First National Bank of Malacca, Gilk Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning, and Simpson & Sons Tree Service. News is coming up next.